The October wind carried the smell of fallen leaves as I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home in Asheville, North Carolina. At 63, I'd made this drive from Atlanta countless times over the years, but something felt different that Thursday morning. The maple trees my father had planted 40 years ago were ablaze with autumn colors, and the house looked exactly as I remembered it, white clapboard siding and all. Mom had called me 3 days earlier, her voice thin and tired, asking if I could come up for a visit. She'd sounded off, but at 86, she was entitled to some bad days. I'd left Atlanta at 4 in the morning to beat the traffic, planning to spend the long weekend helping Mom with whatever she needed. My wife, Patricia, had encouraged me to go, even though it meant missing our grandson's soccer game. "Your mother needs you," she'd said, and she was right. Ever since Dad passed 2 years ago, Mom had been struggling to maintain the house and her independence. The front door was unlocked, which immediately set off alarm bells in my head. Mom was always careful about locking doors, a habit from her years as a school principal. I pushed it open slowly, calling out, "Mom, it's Richard. I'm here." Silence. My heart started pounding as I stepped into the foyer. The house was too quiet. No television playing her morning news shows. No classical music from her ancient radio in the kitchen. I moved quickly through the living room, my footsteps echoing on the hardwood floors. "Mom?" I called again, louder this time. That's when I heard it. A low moan coming from upstairs. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my knees protesting the sudden exertion, and found my mother's bedroom door ajar. She was lying on the floor beside her bed, still in her nightgown, her face pale and twisted in pain. "Mom!" I dropped to my knees beside her, my hands shaking as I checked her pulse. It was there, steady but weak. "Can you hear me? What happened?" Her eyes fluttered open, cloudy and unfocused. "Richard, when did you get here?" "Just now." "Stay still. I'm calling an ambulance." I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, giving them the address while keeping one hand on Mom's shoulder. She felt cold to the touch. The dispatcher assured me the ambulance was on its way, asking me questions I could barely focus on. How long had she been on the floor? I didn't know. Was she conscious? Barely. Any visible injuries? Her left hip looked wrong, twisted at an angle that made my stomach turn. "Your brother was supposed to check on me," Mom whispered, her voice so faint I had to lean in close to hear her. "He said he'd come yesterday." My brother, Daniel. The name sent a chill through me that had nothing to do with the October morning. Daniel was 5 years younger than me, never married, and had been living in Charlotte for the past decade working in real estate. Or at least, that's what he told everyone. Our relationship had been strained for years, ever since Dad's funeral, when he'd asked, in front of everyone, when we were going to settle Dad's affairs. "When did you last see Daniel?" I asked Mom, trying to keep my voice calm. "Tuesday. He brought some papers." Her eyes drifted closed again, said it was important. For the house. Papers. For the house. Something cold settled in my chest, but I pushed it aside. Right now, the priority was getting Mom to the hospital. The ambulance arrived within 10 minutes, and I rode with Mom to Mission Hospital, holding her hand while the paramedics worked. She drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling about the papers, about Daniel, about needing to sign something. The paramedic caught my eye and shook his head slightly. Possible hip fracture, and she's showing signs of dehydration. How long do you think she was down? I don't know. I just got here. The guilt was already starting to set in. I should have come sooner. I should have insisted on visiting more often after Dad died. At the hospital, they rushed Mom into emergency surgery for a broken hip. The doctor, a young woman with kind eyes, explained that at Mom's age, this was serious. The surgery went well, but recovery would be long and difficult. She'd need around-the-clock care for weeks, possibly months. "Does she have someone who can stay with her?" the doctor asked. "Or we can discuss nursing home options." "She has me," I said firmly. "I'll take care of her." I called Patricia from the hospital waiting room, explaining the situation. She was supportive, as always, telling me to stay as long as I needed. I called my boss next, explaining I'd need to work remotely for a while. Then I sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair and waited, my mind churning over what Mom had said. Papers. For the house. Daniel bringing papers on Tuesday. Today was Thursday. Mom had been on that floor for potentially 2 days, and my brother, who was supposed to check on her, hadn't shown up. I pulled out my phone and called Daniel. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Daniel, it's Richard. Mom's in the hospital. Broken hip. Call me back immediately. I hung up and stared at the phone, waiting. Nothing. An hour later, I was sitting by Mom's bedside in recovery when my phone finally rang. Daniel's name flashed on the screen. About time, I said, not bothering to hide my anger. Where were you? Mom's been on the floor for 2 days. What? What are you talking about? Daniel's voice sounded off, distracted. I saw her on Tuesday. She was fine, and you were supposed to check on her yesterday. That's what she said. A pause. I got busy. I had a closing. Is she okay? She has a broken hip, Daniel. She's 86 years old, and she was lying on the floor of her bedroom for God knows how long. No, she's not okay. Well, I didn't know that would happen. Look, I'm glad you're there. Actually, this is good timing. While you're at the house, there are some documents on the kitchen table. Mom signed them on Tuesday, but they need to be notarized. Can you take them to a notary for me? I felt my jaw clench. What documents? Just some paperwork. For the house. Mom and I discussed it, and she agreed it makes sense to transfer the property into a trust. You know, for estate planning. Tax purposes. Everything Mom had mumbled in the ambulance suddenly made horrible sense. You had our 86-year-old mother, who was clearly not well, sign estate papers? She was fine on Tuesday, lucid as anything. This is a good thing, Richard. It protects her assets. I'm not touching any documents until I see them and talk to a lawyer. And you need to get up here. Now. I can't just drop everything. I have clients, commitments. You're there, you handle it. I'll come up this weekend. He hung up before I could respond. I sat there, staring at my phone, a terrible suspicion growing in my mind. I'd been a financial advisor for 35 years before I retired. I knew about estate planning, about trusts, about how easy it was to manipulate elderly people into signing away their assets. And I knew my brother was in debt. He'd let that slip during one of his rare visits, complaining about the real estate market, about bad investments, about needing a break. Mom came out of surgery around 3 in the afternoon. The surgeon said it had gone well, but she'd need extensive rehabilitation. I stayed with her until visiting hours ended, then drove back to the house as the sun was setting over the mountains. The documents were exactly where Daniel had said they'd be, spread out on the kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene. I sat down and started reading, my hands beginning to shake as I went through page after page. It wasn't a trust. It was a quitclaim deed. My mother had signed over the house, all 2 acres of prime Asheville real estate, worth easily $800,000, directly to Daniel, not to both of us, not into a trust for her care. Directly to Daniel, effective immediately. I checked the date. Tuesday, October 15th. 2 days ago. The signature looked like Mom's, but the loops were shaky, uncertain, not her usual firm hand. There was a witness signature, too, someone named Jennifer Hartley, with a Charlotte address. I pulled out my phone and took photos of every page, then called my lawyer friend, Marcus, even though it was past business hours. He owed me a favor from when I'd helped him sort out his retirement accounts, and he'd always told me to call if I needed anything. Richard, everything okay? Marcus answered on the second ring. I need your legal opinion, tonight if possible. My brother convinced my mother to sign a quitclaim deed, and I think she wasn't competent when she did it. Marcus was silent for a moment. Come to my office. I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. I gathered up all the documents, careful to keep them in order, and drove to Marcus's office in downtown Asheville. He was waiting for me, looking concerned. We spent 2 hours going through everything. Marcus's expression grew darker with each page he reviewed. This is bad, Richard. Really bad. A quitclaim deed transfers all interest in the property with no warranties. If your mother wasn't competent when she signed this, or if she was under duress, we might be able to challenge it, but we'd need proof. She'd been on the floor for 2 days. She was dehydrated, confused. She's 86 years old with early-stage dementia that her doctor diagnosed 6 months ago. Marcus looked up sharply. Dementia? Diagnosed? Do you have medical records? Her doctor is Dr. Sarah Chen at Asheville Family Medicine. Mom didn't want anyone to know. She was embarrassed. But she told me during one of our phone calls. Said Dr. Chen wanted to start her on medication. That could be our leverage. If she has a dementia diagnosis and your brother knew about it, this could be considered elder financial abuse. That's a felony in North Carolina. Marcus started typing on his computer. We need to move fast. Has he tried to file this deed with the county yet? I hadn't thought of that. I don't know. How do we find out? I'll check first thing tomorrow morning. In the meantime, you need to document everything. Your mother's condition, when you found her, what she said about the papers. And we need to talk to Dr. Chen. I left Marcus's office with a sense of purpose. This wasn't just about the house anymore. This was about protecting my mother from someone who should have been protecting her. Back at the house, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how Daniel had been so eager to handle Mom's affairs after Dad died. How he'd volunteered to check on her regularly, to help with her bills, to be there for her. And all along, he'd been planning this. At 6 in the morning, I was back at the hospital. Mom was awake, groggy from pain medication, but alert enough to talk. Mom, I need to ask you about the papers Daniel brought on Tuesday. Do you remember signing them? Her face crumpled. He said it was to protect the house, that if I went into a nursing home, the government would take it. He said you agreed it was the right thing to do. My blood ran cold. I never agreed to anything. I didn't even know about it. But he said, he showed me texts from you, saying we needed to move quickly. Mom, I never sent any texts like that. He fabricated them. She started crying, slow tears running down her weathered cheeks. I should have called you. I wanted to. But he said there wasn't time, that the lawyer could only come that one day. And I was so tired. I just wanted him to stop talking. I held her hand, feeling rage build in my chest. It's going to be okay, Mom. We're going to fix this. Over the next 3 days, I built a case. Dr. Chen confirmed Mom's dementia diagnosis and stated unequivocally that Mom lacked the mental capacity to make major financial decisions. Marcus filed an emergency motion to void the quitclaim deed based on lack of capacity and undue influence. And I started digging into Daniel's finances. What I found made everything click into place. Daniel wasn't just in debt. He was drowning. He'd leveraged everything on a commercial real estate deal that had fallen through, and he was facing foreclosure on his own home. He needed money, fast, and Mom's house was his ticket out. The witness, Jennifer Hartley, turned out to be Daniel's girlfriend, a paralegal who'd been disbarred 3 years ago for falsifying documents. When the police interviewed her, she cracked immediately, admitting Daniel had paid her $500 to witness the signature and backdate the notarization. Friday afternoon, 5 days after I'd found Mom on the floor, Daniel finally showed up at the hospital. I was in Mom's room when he walked in, carrying flowers like this was a social visit. Hey, Mom. Richard. He nodded at me, trying to act casual. How are you feeling? How do you think she's feeling? I stood up, blocking his path to Mom's bed. She has a broken hip because you left her alone for 2 days after you manipulated her into signing away her house. Daniel's face flushed. I didn't manipulate anyone. Mom wanted to do this. She understood it was the best option. She has dementia, Daniel. Early-stage Alzheimer's. Her doctor diagnosed it 6 months ago. You knew she wasn't capable of making that decision. That's not true. She was fine when I saw her, completely lucid. The doctor says otherwise. So does the medical evaluation we had done, and your girlfriend Jennifer already told the police everything. Daniel's face went white. You called the police? On your own brother? You committed elder financial abuse. That's a felony, and you forged notarization documents. That's fraud. So yes, I called the police. Mom had been lying there quietly, but now she spoke up, her voice stronger than I'd heard it in days. Daniel, how could you? I trusted you. Mom, you don't understand. I was going to take care of you. I just needed the house. Is just sitting here. You're not using all this space. It made sense to. To steal it? I cut him off. To leave your own mother on the floor while you tried to cash in on her property? I didn't know she'd fallen. I was busy. I had things to deal with. Your debt, you mean. Your failed investments. You were desperate, so you decided to steal from your own mother. A police officer appeared in the doorway. Someone Marcus had arranged to be there. Daniel Patterson? I need you to come with me. We have some questions about a real estate transaction. Daniel looked from the officer to me to Mom, his face cycling through emotions. Anger, fear, desperation. This is ridiculous. You can't do this to me. I'm family. Family doesn't do what you did, I said quietly. They took him out in handcuffs. Mom watched him go, tears streaming down her face, and I sat beside her bed, holding her hand. The legal process took months. Daniel was charged with attempted theft by deception, elder abuse, and forgery. Jennifer testified against him in exchange for a reduced sentence. The quitclaim deed was voided, and the house remained in Mom's name. Daniel took a plea deal, 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, and full restitution of all legal fees. He was also required to attend therapy and stay away from Mom unless she specifically requested to see him. Mom moved into an assisted living facility near my home in Atlanta once she recovered from her hip surgery. Patricia and I visit her twice a week, and our grandkids love spending time with her. She's doing well on her Alzheimer's medication, and while she has bad days, she's mostly content. The house in Asheville was sold 6 months ago. Mom made the decision herself, with a clear mind and a lawyer present. She said it had too many painful memories now. The money went into a trust that Marcus set up, managed by a professional trustee, with both Mom and me as beneficiaries. When she passes, whatever's left will be split equally between Daniel and me, assuming he's completed the terms of his probation. Daniel sent a letter of apology 3 months ago. It was short, formal, clearly written with his lawyer's help. Mom read it once and put it away. She hasn't decided if she wants to see him again. I told her that's entirely her choice, and I'll support whatever she decides. As for me, I learned something important through all this. Family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up. It's about protecting the people who can't protect themselves. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it means turning in your own brother. I think about that Thursday morning often, pulling into the driveway with the autumn leaves falling around me. If I'd come even one day later, if Mom hadn't been able to call me, if I hadn't questioned those documents, Daniel might have gotten away with it. Mom might have lost everything, but I did come. I did question, and I did the hard thing. At 63, I thought my days of fighting battles were behind me. I was wrong. Sometimes the most important battles come later in life, and sometimes the people you're fighting against are the ones you least expect. The feathered vengeance, as Patricia jokingly calls it, wasn't about revenge at all. It was about justice. It was about protecting someone I love. And it was about standing up to betrayal, even when that betrayal comes from inside your own family. Mom's safe now. That's what matters. Daniel lost more than just the house. He lost his mother's trust, his brother's respect, and his own integrity. Those are things you can't get back with a deed or a legal document. I returned home from that business trip to Atlanta eventually, but a part of me stayed in Asheville, in that house where I grew up, where my father planted those maple trees, where my mother raised 2 sons and hoped we'd always look out for each other. One of us did, and I'll keep doing it, for as long as she needs me, because that's what family really means.